This is question 6. College Board is asking us to solve a rational equation where we have a polynomial over another polynomial equals, in this case, a constant. And there's several ways to solve this. I can do it algebraically by cross-multiplying, multiply both sides by x minus 1. I can do it by factor the x squared minus 1 and then cancel x minus 1's. Or I can do this by substituting in my answer choices. By far the best option is to substitute in the answer choices, because when we have radical equations with a square root that we need to solve, or rational equations where we're dividing by an expression, very often there will be something called extraneous solutions. That's solutions that come from the algebra but don't actually work. And because you have extraneous solutions, once you've done the algebra, you have to plug all your choices in anyways, so you might as well just start there. So let's try choice A, -3. -3 squared minus 1 over -3 minus 1. -3 squared is 9, so that's 9 minus 1 over -4. 8 over -4 equals -2. So that does work, which means the correct answer is either A or D. B and C cannot be the correct answers because they don't include -3, and the question was, what are all the values that satisfy this equation? And -3 does satisfy. Let's plug them in anyways. If I plug in 0, I get 0 squared minus 1 over 0 minus 1. 0 squared is 0, so that's -1 over -1 equals 1, which is not -2, so it was correct to reject 0. Let's try 1. 1 squared minus 1 over 1 minus 1 is 0 over 0, which is undefined. Since we're not allowed to divide by 0 during the SAT, we're going to reject choice C, and by substituting these in, I found what I already knew from trying x equals -3. Let's try -1, my last option. -1 squared minus 1 over -1 minus 1. -1 squared is positive 1, so it's 1 minus 1 over -2. 0 over -2 equals 0, which is not -2. So choice D is wrong because -1 does not work. The correct answer would be A. Alternatively, I can do this algebraically. And let's factor x plus 1, x minus 1 equals x squared minus 1. It is often helpful to be able to factor a difference of two squares, including on the SAT, of course. X minus 1 over x minus 1, anything over itself is 1 as long as you're not dividing by 0. So I get x plus 1 equals -2. Subtract 1 from both sides to get the x by itself. I have x equals -3, which is choice A again. If instead I try one more method, x squared minus 1 equals -2, x minus 1. Cross multiply. Multiply the x minus 1 to the right hand side. X squared minus 1 equals -2x plus 2. Add 2x to both sides. And I get x squared plus 2x minus 1 equals 2. Subtract 2 from both sides. X squared plus 2x minus 3 equals 0. If I factor this, I'm going to get a 1 and a 3. The 3 is positive and the 1 is negative. If I check that with FOIL, I get x squared plus 3x minus x is plus 2x minus 3, so that is the correct factorization. I now have a product that equals 0. If a product equals 0, either the first factor is 0, so x minus 1 equals 0, meaning x equals positive 1, or the second factor is 0, x plus 3 equals 0, subtract 3 from both sides, and x equals -3. That gives me two answers, which fortunately are not one of the choices, but once I have these answers, I have to substitute them in to make sure they're not extraneous. When I try substituting in x equals 1, I get a denominator of 1 minus 1 is 0, and I'm not allowed to divide by 0, so I would reject that answer. But when I substitute in x equals -3, as we already saw, that does work. So again, the answer is choice A. By far the easiest way, as I said, is to plug in the answer choices, since you're going to have to do that anyways in this sort of problem. Come back soon for my next video. With math, there's always more.